I want to welcome everyone. It's great to have so many people in our council chambers, and I know that it's a great evening, and we're really proud of all these young artists and all the creativity and everything. So really looking forward to the awards ceremony, and we'll get to that. We just got a little bit of a few things to do just before we get to that. So we'll get to that shortly. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, and we pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people of this territory, past, present, and future. Second item on the agenda is a declaration of a conflict of interest. If any councillor or staff member has any conflict of interest on any of the items that we're covering here tonight, please declare so now. If not, we'll go to item number 3, which is approval of the agenda, and I would recommend that we do the presentations as the third item or the fourth item before we do minutes, if that's okay. So with that change, could I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, we'll now move to the next item on our agenda, which is the really great, I look forward to this every year. It's the awarding of the Water School art presentations for all the young artists who have come first and won prizes, and I just want to congratulate each and every one of you. And with that, Wendy, I guess we'll just go into the order. I'll ask. I'll do the actual awarding or handing out, and we'll take a photo. And maybe Darren, if you would be so kind as to read the names, and we'll do the award ceremony.
Do you want to give a little history on the project, or you?
Well, the water school is something that started back a number of years ago, and it's something that is really important to the town, because it actually teaches young people about conservation, but it also saves the town money because we use less water, and it saves families money because they don't have to pay for that water, and it saves the environment because that water is not going in to be treated and have to go through our wastewater system and that sort of thing. So it's a really important school, or a really important training, or I guess a week that we spend giving this course. So and I want to thank staff for doing this. The staff prepare, and they get all the information and all of the props, or all of the things they need to demonstrate proper use, proper techniques for conservation of water and things that people can do. And the calendar is something that I think a lot of people treasure because it's something that reminds us every day that water conservation and the art that these young people do is something that everyone looks at and thinks about, and really is it's amazing, the creativity and the artistry that is demonstrated in these calendars. So I just want to congratulate each and every one of you, and just thank you for being part of this and for coming out tonight. So with that, we'll go to the awards ceremony, and we'll go with anything you'd like to say, Wendy?
Well, you should recognize Katie, not me. But
Oh,
I
yes.
just want to add in that the calendars will be produced here in the next few weeks, and then they'll be going home with the kids in September for the next school year and stuff. So they will be getting copies of them through the Stratford area schools as well. But Katie's certainly the star of the show.
Okay, so I guess we'll call each name, and the winner can come up and have their picture taken, and we have a certificate for each one, and then that picture will be in the calendar that will be available to all residents of Stratford. So we'll start now.
All right. Let's. I understand Gavin is absent, but for January we have Gavin Onright, So I'm not sure if there's a rep here for Gavin or whatnot, but Gavin's, yeah, okay. So for February, we have Lachlan, and if I might be bad with names here, Pinellas? Does that sound right?
Mom or dad or family members want to take a picture, just if you can let me get one with this, and then you're welcome to come up behind and take one as well. I'm going to take a couple here. That's what I do. You can take it off.
A lot of people say I look better with
Maybe I'll take one that way too, Steve, if you don't mind.
Congratulations, Lachlan. For March, we have Charlotte Roach. Charlotte is absent too. Okay, for April, we have Grayson Higgins. Good job, Grayson. For May, we have Reed Miller. Yeah, do we have any tissues?
Just get your, and then we'll go quick to that.
Did you get your picture, Reed?
It's going to take a second.
It's just
Oh,
close now.
Just while we're waiting, I just want to recognize Katie Sonia for all the work that she did putting the water school together. I know it's a lot of work. Katie, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, we just had a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed having all the kids at water school, and I learned lots, and I know the kids did too, so, yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I think it's a great program.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Good job, Reed. Now, for June, we have Noah, and this writing's pretty bad. I'm going to say witty. Is that right, Noah? Right on. It's not bad.
It's not mine, it's Katie's.
Katie. No.
We actually have the artwork in the foyer, in the frame.
Good job, Noah. And the writing's not bad. My eyes are bad. So for July, we have Sawyer Stewart.
You okay, Brent? Oh, yeah.
Well done, Sawyer. For August, we have Mael Gillen. Well done, Mael. September, we have Soraya Player.
Thank you.
Well done, Soraya. October, we have Elijah Tam. Well done, Elijah. November, we have Lily McGuigan. Well done, Lily. And for December, we have Bella Neal.
Back to order, and we'll resume our agenda if everyone's ready. Is it okay if we restart? Everybody okay? Staff, everybody okay on staff to restart? Okay. All right, we'll now go to back to item number, I guess it becomes item number 5, regular council minutes, May the 11th, 2022. Anybody notice any revisions or any changes, anything that needs to be amended in those minutes or added or deleted?
Just a question, Your Worship. They were not in my package, so I couldn't see them, but I don't know, Mary, perhaps I missed them, or... Yeah, it just...
Maybe you have, there was a new package sent out.
Is this the one here?
Yesterday.
That one there, yeah. Okay. Okay. That's it? Okay. Thank you.
So, does anyone want to move if there's no changes, would someone like to propose a motion to adopt those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, and we've done presentations from the, business arising from the minutes. Are there anything in the minutes of that meeting that we're not going to be covering here tonight? Any follow-up items? Nothing in there, Jeremy, that we need to go back to? Okay. All right, we'll move to presentations from the floor. We've already done that. There are no other presentations from the floor, Jeremy? No. Okay, my report is in your package. It's, I guess the first item is one, it's really sad to hear the passing of Harry James. Harry was a great community guy, and he just touched the lives of a lot of people. He exemplified what it means to be a great community resident and neighbor, and he enriched the whole town through his kindness and his renowned Christmas light displays, and I'd just like to extend my deepest condolences to Harry's family and friends. Another community person who unfortunately passed away this past month is Margot McDonald, who was always at all of our meetings and was a volunteer with the town, helped out with a lot of things, so really sorry to hear of her passing as well. So some of the highlights of my month, I had the pleasure of meeting with the president of Cricket Canada and the executive PEI Cricket Association. This gentleman flew all the way here from Alberta to attend the Premier League kickoff game at our T Hill Park cricket grounds, and I didn't know this, but this our cricket grounds is the only one on PEI apparently. So this Premier League, it's quite a big deal for you know the people who are really into cricket. A lot of newcomers. It's a great game, and it's really popular with a lot of people, becoming more popular. So they were sort of they had a couple of things they wanted to speak about. They wanted to look at lighting, and they wanted to look at second grounds, and so that's I believe that's in the works. So we do have some plans for more cricket.
Your Worship, even talking with Green Campus, look at some stuff, locations on Green Campus.
Yeah.
Talks with Jeremy.
That's right, yeah. And another highlight was a meeting that, along with Chief Administrative Officer Crosby and Councillors Burridge and McDougall, we met with Premier Dennis King and MLA James Aylward and to discuss Stratford issue, and I guess the Chief of Staff for the Premier, Adam Ross, and we had a great meeting, and we agreed to meet again in a couple of weeks. So that's coming up. So hopefully we have the follow-up items. I'll be sending out something to just talk about what we discussed, what we agreed upon, and what we need to follow up on, and also asking, just inquiring about the date for our next meeting. The Immigration Showcase was a really informative session. It was virtual, but there was a lot of excellent information and analysis of the current and emerging trends in our newcomer community, what's happening in response, and the priorities for 2022. So I believe it's called URSA, Wendy. They do a lot of good work, and they commissioned this study, and it was really good. Another very significant highlight was, and this a lot of work by Tanya Craig on this, and Wendy Watts. We received an award. I just accepted it, but I was really humbled to accept the award on behalf of the town of Stratford, the Epiquet Assembly of Councils 2022 Reconciliation Recognition Award. It was a lovely ceremony, and it recognized all the work that the town has done to move us towards, make positive steps towards reconciliation. Literary awards at the trail side, that was very nice. There was a town sponsors an award, and it was awarded this year to Jennifer Platts Fanning for her work Sanctuary Drift. And that's basically the highlights of my month. Any questions or comments? Okay, just before I close, I just want to mention too that Councillor Jill Burridge is not able to meet with us, to be at our meeting tonight. She's got to work, has to work. She's away from the island, so she's not able to attend. And I also want to mention that we've had a change in responsibilities with regard to the committee chairs and portfolios. So Councillor Jill Burridge will now chair the Sustainability Committee, and Councillor Darren McDougall will take over planning, and those changes are effective immediately. So.
No, yours stays, leave yours on,
Okay.
just in case it's picking up somebody's cell phone.
Feedback or something, eh? Okay. Yeah, so any questions or comments on that? I want to thank Councillor Jill Burridge for all her work in the planning area. I think we moved ahead a long ways, and I want to thank Councillor Darren McDougall for all his work on the sustainability file, both on the business side and the environmental side. I think he's made significant strides in both those areas. So thank you to both those councillors, and thanks for agreeing to take on new responsibilities. So with that, that's my report. Any comments or questions? Okay, we'll move to item number 8, Chief Administrative Officer report. I'll ask Chief Administrative Officer Crosby to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. My report is in your package. It's a busy month with a lot of meetings. A lot of meetings with regard to the housing supply challenge that's coming to a close here, and our application is going in shortly, and a lot of hard work by staff to get that ready, and we're just finalizing things, and our consultants have worked very hard too, and I think we have a good shot at getting to the next stage of funding on that. So also Community Campus, lots of updates there, and Jeannie will probably be giving you more information on that, and retroactive pay with the RCMP, and we're still working on the Bunbury Forest acquisition, land acquisition, and several planning related items. But if there's any questions with my report, I'm more than willing to answer them.
Any questions for Chief Administrative Officer? It's been a busy month and quite a report.
Yeah, it's lots going on.
Yeah, Jeremy, just one question I have. I know how Councilor McDougall and all councillors led the way. The switch program there.
Yes.
Where are we at with the switch program now? Sort of a pause, you were saying earlier?
We're looking at a pause.
Yeah, it's going on really well.
There's also a letter that's going to go out to the Green Municipal Fund to see if there is any extension in funding that may be able to be allocated towards that. With the success of the program, we're hoping they'll look at it and say this is a program that's really going to help with greenhouse gas emission reduction and net zero. So we're hopeful that they'll look at that. So Pace Atlantic is drafting a letter to send out to them to see if there is additional funding available. But other than that, we may pause the program for a little while. There still will be an administrative portion of the program that's still running, so people can still get their homes evaluated, so that they are ready in the future, or if they want to tap into other funding streams that are out there through the federal and provincial government, at least they'll know through the assessment what they need to be looking for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thanks very much for your report, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move to Safety Services. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Derek Smith, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before I start my reports, I have a short statement here for the council and the citizens. From the June 2nd to 5th, I was one of the members of Stratford Town Council who attended the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, which was held in Regina, Saskatchewan. I'd like to report that I focused mainly on safety services portfolio, and in doing so, I spoke for mayors and councillors from across Canada. I did, however, concentrate on the communities which had populations similar to Stratford. Policing. Along with speaking with representatives of the town and communities, I attended a session at the RCMP depot and a high school which has a police study course. It is for students who are interested in policing a career. After talking with all the above, I believe that Stratford is well-serviced in its police needs at this point in time. I base this on the fact that other communities praise the town on the services in place and the future needs for policing. Fire department. It appears that many communities in Canada are serviced by volunteer firefighters. I did find that some fire companies have alternative revenue income that might well serve the Crossroads Fire Company. This information will be passed on to the fire board for their follow-up. Once again, I had very favorable comments on the present standings of our fire services. Transit. Over the past 3 years, we have been trying to increase our transit services in an attempt to have more ridership. I was informed by all small communities that they themselves are facing the same problems. All stated that everybody wants transit services, however, very few riders are using it. The free ridership to our high school students is a program that will be looked at by other communities. In short, the capital area is facing the same problems as other communities across Canada. Some other things that I looked in were as follows. FCM Green Fund. I had a meeting with this group. There are many funding opportunities within the program that the town could use in its growing needs. I would point out that we might be able to get additional money for our Switch PACE program. The FCM is willing to meet with the town via Zoom for follow-up dialogue. Other things, I had also made inquiries about funding for the town accreditation system, and will pass my findings on to the town committees for the town trails. I want to inform the council and the public that Constable Gail MacDonald has been elected to the National Board of the FCM. Gail has worked hard in her time in the Stratford Town Council, and in her new role, she most likely will be able to help the town at the national level. I personally want to thank Gail for taking on this role for our citizens. I did have a short conversation with the the Housing Supply Challenge, and apparently we are well suited to go on to the next step. They haven't made the announcement yet, but they're apparently it's looking good. And lastly, I want to thank Deputy Mayor Gary Clough. Quite possibly saved my life in Regina, and I appreciate it. Okay.
That sounds like a story.
That is a story.
You have to tell us afterwards.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on to safety services. No, he did. He actually tried to save my life. Safety services meeting was held on the 16th of May. I would like to report the following under Section 3A, RCMP report. Corporal Ludley did inform our committee about the priorities for our district for the next coming year. They are based on traffic services, police and community relationships, organized crime, and the quality of investigations. I'll open up the floor, and Mike, you can answer any questions the council has for you on these points.
Yeah, sure. So every year we develop new priorities within the district. These priorities are, they're monitored quarterly by both our district commander as well as our crops division and the commanding officer. So there's some accountability there as well. So based on last year's results, we developed 4 new priorities for the district, including here in Stratford. The number 1 priority that we've developed is going to be traffic safety. It's no secret that we're continuing to work hard with traffic here in the town of Stratford. Our focus, however, is going to continue to be not just on Highway Traffic Act offenses, but also on the impaired driving side of things, both alcohol and drug-related impaired driving. Our number 2 priority this year is going to be police and community relations. So that's specifically interaction in the community, getting out into the schools, maybe some seniors complexes, and just visibility in the community, driving around, interacting with citizens. So that would be our number 2. Number 3 is going to be organized crime. A lot of people think that there's probably not a lot of organized crime here in Stratford, but there is. And we're going to be focusing on illegal drug activity as part of that. The Crime Reduction Unit started here in Queens in February, and they're continuing to work on illegal drug activity and organized crime. They've had some very good results within the first several months that they've been put into place, and we're hoping that they're going to continue doing that moving forward. Number 4 is going to be quality of investigations. So quality of investigations usually falls on shoulders of the supervisors to ensure that the work that's being done by the constables is well done. It's well documented, their interviews are proper and so forth. And we continue to monitor that on a day-to-day basis to ensure that that's what's going to be done. So yeah, so those are our 4 current district priorities for this current fiscal year.
Thank you for pointing out the organized crime thing, because when people think organized crime, they think of New York, Boston, mafia, stuff like that. But organized crime can go down. I mean, even somebody planning to shoplift out of car shopping, that's organized.
Yeah, organized crime is pretty much defined as 3 or more people that are committed to try to accomplish the same thing with a criminal element to it. So 3 or more people. So anything that we can determine that's what's taking place, then we define that as organized crime. And the criminal code currently has extra charges that can be laid in those circumstances where we're able to prove that what had happened was organized crime. So, and those, they usually come with very harsh penalties. So, yeah.
Do we have any more questions for priorities?
Yeah, I know that we have the report every month for the traffic stats and all the other things that are in there. Are there any other metrics that for each of those 4 priorities? I know organized crime is something that would be internal because it's not something that you can report to the. Is there anything that's available to the town on each of those priorities where we could sort of talk about, look at things that have been done towards a goal, like an end, like what's success look like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so these are all our goals, and I see what you're saying, what can be reported to the council to be able to say, well, like this is good stuff, or maybe you could do more here. So the only other thing that I could kind of see is our number 2 priority, the police and community relations section with our interacting with the community and our visibility and stuff. And anytime we go to the school, we document that on a police file. If we go and we do a certain talk, I know that we were trying to get to the school as much as we could, especially the last couple months here with regard to allowing the bikes on the sidewalks for the safety of the children. So that's all documented on a file. Anytime we'd go into a senior's home and have a conversation in a senior's home on maybe fraud or anything like that, that's all documented on a file. And I could look at seeing if we could add some type of section to the policing report to show that those are some of the things that we're doing, if that's what you're getting at.
Maybe just some narrative or something. It doesn't have to be anything, like stats-wise. It just something that, so we can have some like accountability for each of those areas. And I know, like I said, organized crime is something that we wouldn't be able to expect to be, be informed
hopefully see the
about.
results in the news on that, but
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
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 So, yeah, that's all I'm speaking about.
Right, so we don't have a community relations officer here in Stratford. We hope that all of us act as that, and, but we have had groups in the community come forth to us asking if we would be interested in coming to their home or their center to speak on different things, so. I'd be happy to kind of put something in there in the future to say this is what we have done, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Mr. Corporal, there, just, when Councillor Glent and I were in Regina at the Expo, we met with representatives from Nova Scotia that are involved in the E-Watch program, and they're dealing with Charlottetown now, and all their cameras, everything is through this company. And, pardon? In Summerside, yeah. So, they are open to coming to Stratford, to speak to us about the cameras, the E-Watch. Charlottetown and Councillor McDougall might be able to elaborate. They have a very good program in there where the business community comes on board, solving a lot of crime throughout the world and Canada and world. Would the RCMP be open to sitting in on that meeting if they decided to come over? Chief Brad McConnell would be open probably to come and just letting us know what it's doing in Charlottetown, a representative from the town. Very good program.
Yeah. The answer would be definitely yes. Myself, I would like to actually participate in that myself, and then I would see if the district commander, Staff Sergeant Hubley, would be willing to attend as well. And yes, I agree with you 100%. We've had this discussion, I think, last month as well, just the benefits of having cameras, and I'd be all about that. If we're able to get cameras in Stratford to help us, then that's, I mean, helping is part of it, so it's.
The community buys into it, so
For sure.
that's one good thing, because they're part of the program, and, so, they're open to come over. They're over there all the time dealing with Charlottetown. I'm not sure they get 80 cameras or so there now, or more, he told me, but quite a few. But it would be interesting to hear what's going on in Charlottetown, to hear what they have to offer, and,
Yeah.
perhaps bring it back to your people, or have them attend.
Yeah, please keep me posted on the date that they may be coming over, and I'll definitely make myself available for that, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Councillor Grant and I perhaps will get in contact and set up a time down the road where we can set up a.
Yeah, I think Councillor Smith should
Councillor
be the spearhead on that. He's Chair of Safety Services.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you should provide the information to
Yeah.
Councillor Smith,
We
and
can give you the information, Derek, and you can set it up, and.
Yep.
and, they're over here all the time, it's not like they have to make a special trip, so.
no, thanks for doing it. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
So, Corporal, agree with the community-based policing there. I know your resources are tied up there, but it was always good to see young people, even sitting down with a police officer and talking if they want that career, you know, touch base. And I saw some departments from Friday have a coffee with a policeman or so on, and Friday morning they have a coffee and sit down, something like that.
Right.
I know my son, when he was a policeman now in Charlottetown, but when a car went by with lights and sirens, he says, "Dad, that's what I want to do," you know, something like that. So, but anyways, but something, you're going the right way, and I know the DARE program is not there anymore, and I know your resources, everything else, I know you're the best way you can do, but it's great to hear that.
Yeah,
Get
good.
involved.
Yeah, we, you know what, we really do have a really great group of members here in Stratford right now, and that can change at the drop of a hat type thing, but the members that we have here right now, it's a very good balance of, you know, we got some good investigators, we got some people that really enjoy doing traffic work, but at the end of the day, we have an entire group that really has a vested interest in the community, which is the biggest part of that, so, yeah.
Yeah, but I just like it, I know the enrollment's down in different parts of recruiting for policing. I know that if you're out there showing the young people, I know it's, you know, all different men, women, everything else, and male and females and so on, it'd be nice to sit down, some people, like, just to, or do a presentation or something, or, you know, and but even, I don't know what the fire service or the emergency service building, you could do anything at all up there because of protected, right? So it's sort of hard to, I don't know what you do. You're visible on July 1st, you're visible on Christmas, you're visible.
That's right.
Everything is good.
Yeah.
Okay, regards to the other thing for the Safety Services Committee, the speed hump policy is now in place. False alarm enforcement was discussed. E-Watch was also discussed in the meeting, and I want to thank Councillor Gallant. He took the lead in Regina. He really sought them out and dug in for me, and I appreciate this help there, Councillor. So that is it for my safety services report. Any other questions? I can move on to the RCMP one. And of course, my computer shut off.
Excuse me, Councillor.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Are we still on the RCMP report?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Corporal, I just noticed there with statistics, under a speeding violation for the month of May, there was 25. And I'm just wondering, is that 25 complaints of speeding in our town that was received for the month of May? On the,
So that's page 2 you're referring to?
yes,
So these are all warning tickets, so there would have been,
okay.
so there would have been 10 warnings issued for speeding, and there would have been a total of 25 warnings issued in total. Is that where the page
So
you're
I'm on page 2 of the L Division, Queens District, Stratford, detailed occurrence chart, or sorry, count.
Is this the one you're talking about, Council?
Yep.
Yeah.
The monthly and yearly to date, the month to date, and year to date?
Speeding violation 25, I see that, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So would that be 25 complaints received?
No, those would have been 25 statistics that we've generated, so either between issuing a ticket
Okay.
or a warning. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
So I noticed 16 tickets, so the rest would have been warnings.
that's
then.
correct.
That's great,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
I see one there, Corporal, impersonating a peace officer. Is that a MHA issue, or?
That particular one wasn't a MHA issue, actually, a mental health issue. That was an individual who was posting some things on social media that were concerning, and it was brought to our attention to intervene. So we've actually, I think it was still under investigation when this report was generated, but we've actually found an outcome, and we've concluded that matter without charges.
Okay, so a couple of things we'll report on. This has already been covered. We did have a citizen called in concerned about a driver on a certain street within the town of Stratford. We notified the RCMP, and the RCMP were proactive. They did not wait for this person to come down the street. They went and knocked on the door and told them of the concerns that we had from the neighborhood. And I think that matter has solved itself, so thank you for being proactive on that one. Also, another call in regards to the intersection by Taylor's Garage, the Bunbury Road area. A citizen called about the roadway getting extremely busy, but that information has been passed on to both the RCMP, the council, and the MLA, James Ellsworth. We know about the traffic tickets, number of check stops, 6, which is pretty good for the month. We're on the road, that's good. The RCMP have been asked to and agreed to keep an eye on the new intersection roundabout going on Trans-Canada Highway, and they're going to be looking after that area for us just to make sure everything is being obeyed by. 54 tickets for the month, 25 warning tickets. We have talked about the impersonation of a police officer, which raises concerns, seeing what happened in Nova Scotia. Thank you for your quick action. 75 NEC checks done for the month, 11 false alarms done for the month of May. And lastly, we have a resolution here tonight in regards to a possibility of an extension of a party. The RCMP, as well as Citizens on Patrol, have been informed of that, and they will be keeping an eye on that situation when the appropriate date comes. And the RCMP have also named an officer to liaison with the Citizens on Patrol to help them along with their way for what to look out for in the community. That is my report for the RCMP.
I just have one small question there. The Citizens on Patrol now, with escalating gas prices now, is it a concern for us, for them? Is there a, I don't know how we, do we how do we go about, is there cost share there of the town and the workers?
They are subsidized, they're given a grant every year,
Yeah,
and yes, they are looking at that because, yeah, they're driving their own vehicles.
right,
So they are compensated for their gases,
right,
but they might have to up that. Obviously, they are going to up that,
yeah,
so.
yeah,
They take no salary, they just take for gasoline that they use.
Yeah.
In the use of their vehicles.
I saw at the conference there, a lot of communities have their own vehicle, and it's donated by a corporate sponsor.
Yeah.
And they take it that way, so just wondering, it's to continue, it's gonna continue on, right? Yeah, so I know, they're all volunteers, so,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, the Citizens on Patrol a little bit busier now because the summer is coming on.
Right.
We're getting the gatherings of people, a little bit of fun, and they know the locations, and they kind of keep an eye on that. And if there's anything happening, they do not take action. They call the RCMP,
right.
so. All right.
But the part I was just getting at is, hope there's still interest there because of the gas prices going up, like,
Yeah.
because hopefully it's not sort of a cost share there for the volunteers, and hope that we're working that out.
Yeah, I think it's a budget line every year for Citizens on Patrol.
Yeah.
I receive a copy of their weekly, monthly schedules, and it doesn't appear that they're having much difficulty continuing to fill roles right now and getting out on the road, so, which is good. Yeah.
Any more questions for the RCMP or policing? Okay, we did skip over 9B, which is the street light report. I think there's
Thank you
nothing
very
there
much,
for the month,
Corporal
Jeremy. Okay. We'll move on to Humane Society. Humane Society is reported there. There's nothing outstanding this month, unless anybody has any questions. Okay, 9E, good news. Transit numbers are up. Up by quite a bit. Now, I don't know the answer to this question, but I'll ask Jeremy, the CAO. The ridership from the country, the provincial transit system, are they dropping their passengers, like from Montague, Wood Islands, that area, are they dropping their passengers off at Stratford bus stops? And that's why our numbers have increased?
No, I don't believe so. I think they're going right to Charlottetown, but I think it's
Okay.
finally sunk in, the cost of fuel and other costs of escalation, and people are back using the transit system more often, so it's good to see the numbers. I think it's 50%, 50 or 56% increase from last
Yeah.
month.
Yep, hopefully that line will keep on.
Yes.
I don't want anybody, the price of gas to go up, but that's one of our driving reasons here. So transit is going up, and again, I spoke to many communities across this country. It's the exact same thing. Everybody wants transit, nobody uses it. But that's a problem we'll have to look at. Any questions on transit? If not, we'll move on to the fire company. I have a short statement here. Chris Landry. Chris Landry, a member of the Crossroads Fire Board, has decided to step aside as a board member. Chris was a driving force for the health care plan that is now in place for the fire company firefighters and their families. I want to personally thank Chris for his service and wish him the best in his future endeavors. Okay, we'll go on to the fire report. The numbers are there again. There's nothing really outstanding this month. Fire calls were 12 for the month of May out of a total of 18. And nothing really outstanding about that. And the fire chief's report, you'll see the numbers. Total members of 47 remains the same. Operational members stayed the same at 32. Calls, 17, are down. Number of responders, daytime calls are 6, nighttime calls were 11. And you'll see the graphs there, and also on the right-hand side, you'll see a sort of a star figure. That is mutual aid, and that took place in Vernon and Bridge, Alexandria area. All the rest were inside of our board, or the area that we cover. The meetings are ongoing. Health and Safety Committee being formed by the firefighters and the board, and that is ongoing. New radio system that is being funded by the firefighters, a contract has been signed, and the implementation process is undergoing as we speak. We've had an outbreak of COVID within the membership, and all members are now fully recovered. Training, very interested in the training. They have some very intense training stuff, a bad day of training event, diversity and inclusion, and the mental health. So it's just not all about firefighting, it's about everything that they do. And that is pretty well it for the fire company, unless we have questions. Okay. All right, we'll move on to my resolution. Number SS 003-2022, noise and nuisance bylaw exempt, 34 Cardiff Lane. Whereas the citizens of 34 Cardiff Lane are hosting a family wedding on the June 23rd, 2022.
July 23rd.
July 22, on their
23rd.
property. And, was it?
July 23rd.
July 23,
July 23.
22.
23.
I was wondering who's going to pick up on my mistake. Congratulations. On their property and have request an exemption from the noise and nuisance bylaw to allow the reception to continue until 1 a.m. Whereas pursuant to Section 5, Noise and Nuisance Bylaw, Council may approve an application for an exception from any of the provisions of the bylaw. Be it resolved that an exception from the noise and bylaw is be hereby granted for a wedding and reception held at 34 Cardiff Lane on July 23rd, 2022, until 1 a.m. on the July 24th, 2022. There is no recommendation for this, and the RCMP, as I have stated, has been notified, as well as citizens on patrol. So they are aware of the situation, and they might be taking little drive-bys to the situation. So I will move this on behalf of Safety Services and the Seconder.
Do you have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion? Anybody have any comments? Go ahead.
Counselor? Yes, I have a question. I'm just wondering, was this brought forward to Safety Services Committee?
It was not. It came on our radar after the Safety Services meeting.
Okay. I'm just thinking that it's probably a good idea for it to come to the committee, and, you know, in case they have any questions or concerns. I'm not sure, Jeremy, if they normally come to committee level first? Normally resolutions do, of course, but as a motion to put it forward.
Yeah, normally they do, but this one was, this request was around for quite a while, and we had a lot of discussion in-house with regard to it, but duly noted, we'll make sure it goes to committee from now on.
Thanks.
I know the one previous that we had in the Clearview States area, they were very proactive. They did it a year in advance. But you can see where if we waited until the end of June to make sure this got across, there'd be a little panicking on whether or not it was going to get accepted or not, so.
Right.
Any other questions or comments or
I
discussion?
believe, Jeremy, the neighborhoods have been canvassed by these people, so they have kind of knocked on doors. All right.
Okay, I'm going to call a question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you for your report, Councillor Smith.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to recreation, culture, and events. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Steve Gallant, to give his report.
Thank you, Worship. The weather's warm, the fields are dry, and we're starting to play ball. But the following is Recreation Culture Events Committee. We had no committee meeting last month at all. We just couldn't get everybody together. We reached out just we're meeting next month. The Arts and Culture Committee had a special Future Arts and Culture Infrastructure session last Thursday, May 12th, with facilitator Stacey Evans, which lasted 3.5 hours. The session was aimed at gathering information from committee members to help shape the future vision of arts and culture in our for the near and long-term future of our community. And we received that document from her yesterday, and we'll have initial chance to review it at our next Arts and Culture meeting, which is going to be held tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have the document now, but we'll have the meeting tomorrow. The interactive public art piece for Pondside Park, The Leap, by Stratford artist Jill Bulliot, will be installed late summer 2022. And our Arts and Culture Spring program our spring program starting to end. On July 1st, with Canada Day, we have a day in the life of Stratford photography event Friday, July 1st, 22nd. For 24 hours, people are asked to document a moment in the daily life of Stratford. Up to 10 JPEG photos can be submitted to Tanya Craig at townofstratford.ca by July 4th or on Facebook event page. A day in the life of Stratford photography event, Town of Stratford submitted photos will be on public display at the town centre front foyer for the summer months and be posted to town social media, Facebook. So anything that happens on July 1st, especially getting up in the morning, with your family, breakfast, take a picture, make sure you're dressed well and pajamas on and so on, and send it over to Tanya, and then we'll take a look at it. It's nice to see what different things people do in the town of Stratford.
Maple leaf pajamas.
Yeah, maple leaf pajamas, yeah. The next event subcommittee meeting will be Thursday, June 16th at 12 p.m. The event subcommittee is now actively planning for Canada Day celebration in collaboration with the Diversity and Inclusion Subcommittee. In front of you, July 1st, this will be my first one out of 4 years with Canada Day at T Hill Park. In case of climate weather, Flag Center will be indoor Stratford Town Centre here. Everything starts off T Hill Park at 1:15, a welcoming message from everybody. Music by Richie Bulger and the Wannabes, a special guest, face painting and bouncies, Party Perfect, magic shows 1:30 to 3 p.m., culture flavors of Canada and the World Tent, barbecue hot dogs, Stratford Lions Club, and then 2:30 we have a flag raising ceremony, a Volunteer of the Year Award presentations, and a Canada Day cake, ice cream and strawberry served by the culture. And it'll be a great day. It's and all I can say is I'm very proud to host it from the town of Stratford, with all our councillors, fellow councillors, the best country in the world, I consider Canada. So it's hopefully everything turns out well that day. Real great. The annual Volunteer of the Year Awards deadline for nomination closed on June 3rd, 2022 at 4 p.m. Nominations shall be vetted through the Recreation, Culture and Events Committee, then on to a mayor and council for final consideration. Stratford Youth and Centre Council, the community yard sale and flea market took place this past weekend on June 4th. There were 19 registered properties on the event map, including the Town Centre Gymnasium, where youth centre members sold items to contribute to the fundraising efforts. The flea market had over 50 tables. A second fundraiser at the kickoff summer raffle will be running until draw date, June 21st. Tickets are $5 each or 3 for $10. Prizes include $500 first, $250 for second, and $100 for third. The youth centre has a third youth worker interns with College Dial for 6 weeks, and they ended up on June 4th. The town greatly appreciates his efforts on the interns over the term of the youth centre. They were able to gain valuable work experience by working with the Stratford youth. The youth centre is currently planning end of the season activities for the youth members, which include a paintball adventure and a bus trip to Magic Mountain. The Youth Council is currently fundraising for their 6-day trip to Quebec and Ontario in late July and early August. The Youth Centre Leadership Committee is currently finishing their fundraising for the 3-day trip to Moncton at the end of August. The Youth Council is currently planning a new project to create a community food pantry for the residents of Stratford. The pantry will provide a space to distribute food to those who are in need. The Youth Council will like to build that pantry themselves and are currently formulating a fundraising plan. The Youth Centre drop-in program and most Youth Centre programs will be ending on Thursday, June the 3rd. The Youth Centre Garden Club is currently preparing their plot on the Stratford Community Gardens. It will maintain the plot over the summer months. All food grown and will be donated to those in need, which is a very nice thing to do. On June 11th, the Youth Centre and Leadership Clubs will be hosting a Saturday fundraising event at the Town Centre Gym. This will include selling bracelets for 2-hour sessions on various inflatables. Programs, registrations for spring and summer programs open for all programs. Registration numbers have been paused for all the programs. The town expects all programs to reach full capacity once again this year. And we started off this year, and everything is book solid. The pickleball play has moved outdoors to Kinloch tennis courts. until September. And co-ed adult volleyball program will be offered for the summer months, Monday evenings 8 to 9:30 p.m. Tennis PEI will be offered a series of lessons and league play at the Pondside Court for the summer. Sport fields, the 4 sport fields are programmed to full capacity during prime time hours. Softball and baseball are usually the regional fields to help support the required practice and game times. Fullerton's multi-purpose shall operate at increased level this summer. The field will see flag football, lacrosse, and soccer being played until September. Another positive to this will be more visitors to the multi-facet Fullerton's Creek Conservation Park who will get to experience the new playground and the 4 kilometers of trails. After transportation, the town has allocated a staff member to maintain the 35+ kilometers of active transportation network within the community. The trail network continues to expand on an annual basis as proven to be extremely well utilized throughout the calendar year. Members of the town staff were recently able to walk the Baker Trails with resident Don Baker. There are over 4 kilometers of walking, hiking, and biking trails that traverse public and private property and offer a chance to enjoy nature in its very best. John and Sam Langell, who worked with our infrastructure department, performed at the recent East Coast Music Awards with 4 bands, 2 of them of which left with awards. Scott McKay won Country Recording of the Year, and Dylan Menzie won Song of the Year. They not only performed with both artists at the MCMAs, but they were also part of the both recording projects. Girls, congratulations to the Central Storm under-15 AAA team who earned an overtime win in the championship game in Atlantic's New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. 8 of the players are from Stratford. That'd be exciting in overtime. Congratulations to the Eastern Express under-15 AAA Hockey Club, who recently won the bronze medal at the Atlantic Championship. 10 of the players are from Stratford, or Stratford residents. And at the end, best of luck to all the athletes training for the 2022 Canada Summer Games to be held in Niagara Falls, Ontario in August. We don't know exactly the number of Stratford athletes yet, and coaches and other volunteers, but we'll have that represented. But know that they will represent our community and island very well. So that is my report, Your Worship. And just before I left to go away there, received a complaint there about baseball fields and from the Stratford Ball Association, and I want to give kudos out to Jeremy, my chair, who acted on it properly and facilitated and probably 4 or 5 hours, and it was great to see that we're working hand in hand. And when they had a problem there, it was the infield, there was a lift on the field, the ball bouncing up, and so anyway, Mr. Pearson, McCrae's instruction and to facilitate those matters at the park. But it was a quick response by Jeremy and a quick email out, so it's. We always want to hear those complaints, and we want to see if we can help them out, get it done. If we can't get it done. So, but it was great work by Jeremy and his team, and of course I want to salute Rachel and Tanya. It's a great committee behind the scenes there, doing it with all hands on, especially with July 1st coming up and so on.
Thanks very much for your report. Just one other note, young lady from Stratford got national recognition for, I believe her last name is Ferguson. Is it Sarah Ferguson, who was part of the Ottawa Red Blacks coaching staff, and she was featured on Compass. So that's she's quite an accomplishment. Yeah, she's coaching. She coaches a number of teams here in the Maritimes, and at some point she could get a chance to coach, one of the CFL teams, or help coach one of the CFL teams. But she did help out for 2 weeks with the training camp of the Ottawa Red Blacks.
Yeah. So you're supporting these young athletes, the winter games, the summer games. That's what you got. You got it. That's the minor league, and move them up, and they go into the pros. It's great to see.
Any comments or questions for Councillor Gallant on his report?
Yeah, I'd just like to, Councillor, I believe that you were in John at the FCM. You focused on the rinks, the stadium, and stuff like that. What was your findings? You toured a rink with 7 rinks in it?
Yes, I had the opportunity to tour 7 pads plus 1 rink. And the University of Regina played on that rink, and it was built more or less, if you visit, same as UPI rink. One side was standing, and the other side was no standing, but same visibility if you want to look at it. But they had 7 rinks, and had a restaurant, and everything else included on the second floor. And on the second floor, you could look down at each rink, each pad, and you had stands there, each parent, and everything was just warm, 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 right? If you want to watch a game, you could be ringside against the boards. But they had a field house probably the size of 2 football fields on there too for training, and it was a great facility. And I was talking to the mayor of Regina, and she's telling me the whole trade center there, they were looking at just building, everybody's going to meet there. They're building a hotel, almost like Summerside. They're putting a hotel on that location, and sort of everybody was going to meet there, and then, you know, and the tournaments and so on. So it's a big complex, and with the football stadium on the right of it, with the Saskatchewan Rough Irish players. So we're all in that area. It was really, it's just the whole facility was designated one area. But I noticed parents, and what I liked about it, everybody was just, I mean, young and old, and grandparents and middle. You know, it was great to see you to sit on the stands, a warm area. I mean, that's what when you get older, you want the warmth. So parents are watching, but it was great. And then the lobbyways had a food truck in the lobbyways. There was a food truck there, fundraising for the association.
Oh, thanks for doing that research.
You also had talks in regards to funding or arena. Didn't you have?
Yeah, I was talking to a refrigeration company there that we tap into a grant. Councillor Clow, you can elaborate. Me and you were together.
Well, I sent something to Jeremy there, but it's a net zero refrigeration where they'll come in and they were telling me that they've had funded up to $12 million. So we're going to get some information and pass it on to Jeremy Pierce, and just to get to be aware, and they're open to meeting with us by Zoom or whatever, just to share information, and quite interested in working with us when we do put our pads in here in Stratford. So we had a very good conversation with them, and there is money out there for rinks, and they're willing to help us get that.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So Councillor Glant and I, we visited quite a bit. I was with him when we did the rinks, and they were very, very impressive. And to see 6 pads, 7 pads, and then the university, every pad was in use, every one of them. And the mayor, we were talking to the mayor of Calgary, and she was explaining every weekend, it's so busy there that they have to put a hotel. Yeah. The week FCM was there was sort of a glitch for them because they had tournaments and they couldn't get hotels because of FCM, so they had to go outside of Regina and transport in every day. So, but it's a happening place. There's not just hockey; everything else is going on. It's one of the biggest facilities I think I've ever been in. Mm-hmm. It just keeps going.
Yeah. Well, that's good information. Yeah. I know that we're approved, this council has approved moving forward with a feasibility study for a rink, for a recreational complex, which would include a rink.
That's right.
So this information is going to be really, really useful. So thank you very much for doing that.
And they did have a booth set up. The ones that won the RFP, they were there. And Councillor Glant and I did speak to them and a little bit about that. And
DCG, we spoke to them one-on-one, and then we had a great conversation there. We're sitting down about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Could you just enlighten us in terms of the status of that feasibility study? Is it underway? Has the bid been accepted?
I think it's still underway, but
still the RFP process still underway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the RFP closes on June 20th, so we're still waiting for bids to come in, and after June 20th, we'll be able to come back to council with a recommendation.
Just as a footnote, I did talk to a representative.
I just want to correct something before we go any further, because it's part of the RFP process.
Yeah, okay.
I think Councillor Glant mistakenly said that the RFP was accepted, the people who accepted our RFP. That RFP process is still underway, so nobody's accepted our RFP.
That's right.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption.
That's fine. I did talk to a member of Statistic Canada, and Statistic Canada are willing to sit down and give us numbers for now and the future and help us out with any funding request that we have. So the government of Canada, Statistics Canada, are willing to sit down and go over what we need to present. So it was a nice reach out by the Statistics Canada, and I do have the man's name and number, so we can follow up with them also.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have someone following up on that? Just wondering.
Well, I'll be passing the
Okay,
information
great,
on.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, there's great speech there from the Prime Minister and Dominic LeBlanc, who's from New Brunswick. Dominic spoke, and he knew where we're from, Stratford, PEI, and he was always talking about it. We have the same community. My province is joined your province, but there's so many programs out there to tap into. It's great to see the opportunities for towns in our size and so on. So,
Great.
so they're out there. Just gotta find them.
Okay, any other comments or questions for Councillor Gallant? Okay, thank you for your report, Councillor Gallant. We'll now move on to finance and technology. Just before I ask Chair Councillor Gail McDonald to give her report, I just also want to congratulate her on putting her name forward and being successfully elected to the board of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. It's going to be good to have your voice, Stratford's voice, at that table, and so really appreciate you. I know it's a time commitment and it's a big responsibility, but really appreciate you going for it and getting it. So thank you.
And you're welcome.
And please proceed with your report.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the finance report is in your package along with the committee minutes and the income statements. So just a little brief memo there from what the finance staff has been working on for the last month. They've been working on the MCEG grant, which is the Municipal Capital Expenditures Grant for year-end 2022. There's a lot of work to be done once the calendar budget year end sort of thing and getting in all the final invoices and everything. They're also working on closing out projects for the asset management module for the year end as well. And they attended some training on the mapping component to asset management in Town Suite. And they're also working on the year-end audit file. The auditors will be here on June 20th. They also have been reviewing the information on the revenue sharing meeting. There's nothing new to report at this time on that. I don't think there's going to be any great change there this year. They've also working on a new bylaw for the town for the tourism levy. So it's been presented to the Finance Committee, and it will be going to Sustainability Committee for their review, if it hasn't already, coming up next. And so we're reviewing tourism levy bylaws for the town of, the city of Charlottetown, city of Summerside as well. Disconnect notices were sent out the week of May 24th. I'm glad to report that we did not have to disconnect anyone this month. They also attended meetings with regards to the switch program. They are reviewing the current lease for our photocopiers for the town. It's up for renewal this year. The department heads have been attending HR training over the last week or so, and it's a virtual training. So 3 different subjects have been gone over. The first one was on recruitment for staff. Second one was on retention of staff, and the third one was succession planning. So it's been very informative, and I'm glad to report that I guess all department heads have been attending the latest sessions, and there's another one next week. They're also working with the infrastructure department on the land sale from the town to the business park. And of course, they are busy with day-to-day. Thank you, Kim and staff. Our committee, Finance and Technology Committee, met on May 17th. We discussed a lot of items. We discussed the fire companies looking for a mill rate. So we've sent them a recent email to get some more information on that. So more information probably forthcoming by next month. The RCMP, the retroactive pay, is discussed at the finance level here. And so a Zoom call, tried to set it up for a few times, and now we are finally having it tomorrow morning at 10:30. So the mayor and myself and the CAO and the finance director will be on the call, and we'll report back at Committee of the Whole, the results of that call. Once again, the tourism levy was discussed at the committee level. There's a lot of good suggestions given at the committee level about what we should include in our bylaw. We're taking hopefully the best from the City of Charlottetown's and the City of Summerside's bylaw and making it our own. We have approximately 50, perhaps a few more establishments currently registered in the town of Stratford with tourism PEI, probably mostly Airbnb establishments. And we have one hotel, of course, in our town, and some new, tourism places certainly are on the horizon. So it'll be nice to have the bylaw in place sooner than later. We also had, they met in early May on the Revenue Sharing Committee met, and our director is on that committee. And so let me see, so it was included in the package, the 2022-2023 budget submission to the provincial government from FPIM rather. So Kim noted that the revenue sharing grant with the province had expired and was frozen at last year's 13.2 cents on the $100 on residential assessments. She reviewed the recommendations put forth by FPEIM, and there has been no response from the province on the submissions. We're also looking at perhaps a deed transfer tax increase to 1.5%, which will provide more tax room by reducing the provincial non-commercial property tax. And the increase in the annual operating grant for public transit system were another recommendation that would affect the town. So that's, we're still trying, sort of thing, to get that changed, but it's likely not going to happen in this calendar year. The property tax rebate was discussed, so a media release had been put out by the province on this. Our director informed us that although we weren't informed in advance of the subsidy, we did note that it won't affect our budget bottom line because it only affects the provincial portion. So, the income statements were reviewed, donations were reviewed. I'd also like to report that we have a new IT coordinator in our town. Kent Dean is on staff now, and I myself have used him a couple times in the last couple of weeks, and it's great to have him on staff for sure. So he's going to be meeting with one of our finance committee members who is very much a technology guy as well, and so that'll be great because he always has some good ideas that he brings up at the committee level. The Rural Beautification Society had requested a donation, so we're kind of going to review that a little more and see if what benefit it might be to the town of Stratford. We might perhaps look into putting some money towards our own beautification budget. Our next meeting will be June 21st. Might possibly take July and August off, but we'll be having a meeting later this month. That's Finance Committee report. And so the income statements are also in your package. For the month of May, year to date, the revenue is down 1.7%, but our expenses are down 13.1%. So just a snapshot of where things are standing right now, sort of thing. And under utility, revenue is down 6.8%, and expenditures are down 9.2%. So if anyone has any questions, myself or my director will be able to answer. That's my report, Your Worship.
So the revenue might, from our water might be going down because of all the conservation.
Yes, that's right. That's a worry to us,
yeah,
but a good thing as well.
It's a good thing, yeah.
That's right.
Question, interest rates going up, how is that affecting us?
Okay, so that question might have been addressed before, and I don't think there's any change. So currently our loans are in place for quite a number of years in advance. Any new money, of course, that we borrow this year, it will be impacted. So we're definitely keeping an eye on that. I don't know if there's any other questions.
Any other questions?
No, it's great.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thanks very much. Okay, we'll now move on to Planning, Development, and Heritage, and we'll ask if you're comfortable, otherwise I can ask the Vice Chair to take it. If you're comfortable doing it on short notice, Councillor McDougall, or I can ask the Vice Chair to do the report, whichever you prefer.
I'm good. There's a
Okay.
few.
Okay, well, please proceed then.
There's just
Yep.
a few. I don't think there's much here on it other than what's in your package. And that being said, if the Vice Chair wants to chime in with anything, by all means. Let's start with the minutes from that meeting, Councillor Smith. If obviously I wasn't there, but if you have something that
I guess I'm vice chair.
oh, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah.
Just had a little. At any rate, if you see the need to highlight something from those minutes, then by all means, go ahead.
Sure. Most of the items in the minutes we'll be discussing as a form of a resolution here coming before us. There was one thing I'd like to mention. The Planning Department is conducting research to update the home occupation section of the town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw. And our new town planner, Dale McKagan, who's here with us tonight, is conducting research to update the home occupation section of the town of Stratford. Dale has prepared a document to help aid in the discussion regarding home occupation. And we were really impressed with this work that Dale has done and his staff. He has gathered information on the bylaw from the city of Charlottetown, Cornwall, Summerside, town of Wolfville, Dieppe, and the city of Fredericton. And these municipalities' bylaws were compared in a chart that he put together to help determine a list of types of home occupations that are permitted and the requirements to apply for home occupations such as structure types, floor areas, number of employees, and parking and signage. Dale provided a questionnaire to the Planning Board to help determine each member's understanding of home occupation. And this was to determine more insight into the bylaw update. Planning Board went over questions that he presented to us, and we responded. And are we generally satisfied with home occupation? Do we need more flexibility to the types of home occupation, or more permitted use needed? Have you been approached by residents regarding home occupation? Great discussion by the Planning Committee. Great work by Dale. He explained to us that there's two types of home occupation. We gave him work to do on this. We gave him direction. He is going to be doing a full report, I believe, Dale. And I definitely would like, with the work he has put together, have that work presented at a committee of the whole down the road on home occupation, because with the information he had, discussion, it was very good and opened our eyes to a lot of other areas. When you look at Wolfville, Summerside, Dieppe, Fredericton. So it was a great comparison, a great chart. So we'll be looking forward to Dale presenting that down the road when he completes that.
Great.
So that's all, Councillor McDougall, in the minutes that we won't be dealing with later, that I see.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that, Dale. That was good work.
Yeah, beautiful. It was just unreal.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I see the permits were very active in development, as was expected, and we've exceeded already last year's numbers. And so building is not slowing down in Stratford, that's for sure. And again, that's in your package for everybody to review. Now, I have some resolutions, if we'll move to those.
Any comments on or questions on the report before we move to the resolutions?
Can we get a update in regards to the golf simulator on Kennedy, or not Kennedy Road, but Rosebank Road? Is there anything future on that?
I guess I'll refer that to Director of Planning, Kevin. I'm not sure. I know we discussed it.
Nothing further to update at this point in time. It's part of the file that we're discussing as the home occupations, which I think Deputy Mayor alluded to. So it's part of the reason why we're reviewing that section of the bylaw, and there will be more to come on that.
Yeah. So we expect there'll be a new bylaw that we'll be proposing coming out of this, or changes to our current bylaw, right?
There will be discussions on possible changes, and then
Okay, yeah.
there will be a public meeting process involved with that,
Right.
to get input from the public as well. What we're doing right now is just the background research to find out what are other jurisdictions doing, and that's what we brought forward to planning board at the first meeting. And as Deputy Mayor alluded to, there's some homework that was given to staff there by committee to do some further research, bring it back next month, and then we'll be probably proposing to go to a public meeting from that point, and then see where it comes out in the process at that time.
Okay. Is that,
That's
good?
second question. In regards to the development of our town, we had discussions last week with Halifax and Wolfville. Can we comment on that, or is that still in negotiations?
I think what you're referring to is some of their planning practices and,
Yes.
And some things that are being proposed by developers.
Yeah.
And I think we're looking at that, and I think we're looking for a recommendation from staff with regards to how we proceed with that. I think there will probably be, it's my understanding that there would be a recommendation coming from staff on that, or from planning committee.
Yeah, it's something that is going to be looked at as a way, when we start discussing the core area of the town and the lands that the Grey Group are going to propose to make some significant changes to. It was a discussion on how do you actually control the architectural form and whatnot, and how do you control the approval process. So we met with Wolfville and HRM to discuss form-based codes. They've recently, Wolfville has more recently implemented them, and HRM has had them in place for a number of years, and just talked about the pros and cons of the process and whatnot. But that will be a full public process that we'll have to go through if we do make any changes like that. So it'll be a little bit down the road, but it was to give council and staff an idea of what are out there for other control options. So.
Question, Kevin and Dale, I guess, a home occupation, just looking at something, looking at the other 6 communities there, and sort of trying to put them all together and sort of pick away at them. What's special with people having business at a home now, right? With the shared time, so we're just trying to be on the same playing field as those people.
Well, we're looking at what are other jurisdictions doing? What are other jurisdictions allowing versus not allowing?
Yeah.
Trying to do some research into what ones do potentially create issues versus ones that don't. So there's a lot of information in this report that the Deputy Mayor was referring to, and I do have to give our planning and development technician Sarah Kennedy credit for a lot of the research that she did, and Dale was using that information in his review of everything, but did a lot of background legwork for us there. So it was really, really good information for, I think, the committee to have, and for us to move to the next step.
It's a great time for us to do with, especially with the growth of the community, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think anytime something like this comes up, and we realize that there seems to be something that doesn't appear to be right in the bylaw, it's an opportunity for us to review it in detail and bring forward recommendations to council and to the public to see it, to make possible changes.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions or comments, we'll move to first resolution. Ask Chair of Planning, Councillor McDougall, to move that resolution.
Resolution PH 021-2022, Development Officer Appointment. Whereas council hereby delegates the Chief Administrative Officer the power to appoint a development officer by resolution in accordance with subsection 22 of the Planning Act, whose duty shall be as provided in the Zoning and Development Bylaw number 45. And whereas a development officer shall have the authority to administer the Zoning and Development Bylaw number 45. Notwithstanding the foregoing, and unless otherwise stipulated, a development officer shall have the authority to approve or deny applications made in accordance with bylaw number 45 in all areas except for the following. A, commercial developments that fall under Part 3 of the National Building Code. B, institutional developments that fall under Part 3 of the National Building Code. C, industrial developments, D, multiple family dwellings of greater than 18 units, E, special permit uses, F, conditional uses, G, variances of greater than 5% in accordance with the relevant provisions of this bylaw, H, preliminary approval of subdivisions of greater than 5 lots or where the extension of the water mains, sewer mains, or streets is required, and B, bylaw amendments. Be it resolved that Dale McKeegan, town planner with the town of Stratford, be appointed the authority of a development officer in accordance with the duties provided in the zoning and development bylaw number 45. So moved.
Second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Anybody against? Motion carried. Okay.
Okay, next up, Town of Stratford Resolution Number PH 022-2022-DP084-22. The Gray Group, Concord Properties Limited, Jubilee Road Service Station. Whereas an application has been received from the Gray Group, Concord Properties, Inc., to develop a commercial service station on the portion of parcel 328039, approximately 2.21 acres, located in the corner of the Trans-Canada Highway and Jubilee Drive. And whereas the property is located within the town center core area and is zoned Town Center Commercial Zone, TCC. The development proposal includes a 2,000 square foot convenience store, retail gasoline outlet, an additional 2,200 square foot adjoined commercial space with drive-through, and an additional future 3,000 square foot freestanding commercial building with a proposed double-lane drive-through. And whereas in accordance with the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw section 13.4.3, this application is considered a special permitted use, and therefore council shall ensure the property owners that the property owners within 61 meters of the subject property are notified in writing and asked to provide their comments. Be it resolved that council shall hold a public meeting on June 22nd, 2022 at 7 p.m. to allow the applicant to present the development proposal to residents to obtain their input. And be it resolved that council shall also ensure that property owners within 61 meters, 200 feet, of the subject property are notified in writing regarding the public meeting and asked to provide their comments. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on May 30th, 2022. So moved.
Second it.
Thank you. Okay, any discussion?
Yeah. Couple of points, on our resolutions, I see were moved by Councillor Gary Clow. That should be amended, I think, to read Darren McDougall. All right. And is this going to public meeting? Because I noticed the construction has started today. Is the public meeting been done, or?
No, this is proposed to go to a public meeting. What you're seeing happening on that site today is a permit that's been issued for the removal of non-structural fill with the replacement of structural fill under 2 commercial building pads, which the commercial building pads are shown on the screen there now. That's the overall site of what is proposed to happen here in the future. There's been no development permits issued for any of the uses. What's in yellow is what's attached to the proposed special permitted use of the service station. And that's the use that is considered special permit use and therefore requires a public meeting. So that's the discussion on the resolution today. But what you're seeing on the site is not a permission for any of the uses. It's just a structural fill permit that's been issued.
And my last question, I noticed that the Petrocan has a generator in place just in case of a power outage. Does this place also have a generator, or we don't know that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that.
Any other questions or comments?
Kevin, you, I guess, accepted by the planning committee, right?
The recommendation to proceed to a public
Yeah.
meeting was recommended by planning, yes.
How's the vehicles that drive through? Is it gonna be great? The exits?
There is traffic information for the intersection here that is, we received it today. I anticipate there will be probably questions raised regarding traffic. So we'll allow the developer to present the information that they see fit at the meeting, particularly in regards to the uses of those drive-throughs and ensuring that the queuing is staying on the property and not flowing out onto Jubilee. I believe that's why you're seeing a double lane drive-through in one of them. I think it's anticipated to have higher traffic volumes in that particular use, therefore they're showing a double lane driveway there to allow more vehicles on the site.
There's also going to be proposed, Shakespeare will be extended, if you see up there, which there's an enter and exit coming in there, so that'll help with the traffic. And that'll be extended to the end of the property, and the trail will be moved back, right, Kev?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
The trail will be moved over from where it is now, so it still will be there.
Probably be stop signs there now, I guess.
I'd say so, probably, yeah.
There will be, yes. Yeah, there'll be traffic controls there in the future. And we do have kind of a conceptual image that's also included in your meeting package, which is now shown on the screen.
Yeah.
More details, of course, to come at the public meeting itself and then subsequent to that. But this is what we have and what Planning Board had reviewed in regards to calling a public meeting.
So, any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll call for the vote to hold a public, whether or not to approve a public meeting or hold a public meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against?
No.
Motion carried.
Okay, off to the next one. Resolution number PH 023-2022-DP 111-22. Island Montessori Academy Institutional Edition, Glen Stewart Drive. Whereas an application has been received from the Island Montessori Academy to construct a 5,300 square foot expansion to their existing institutional building on parcel 1007988 located at 41 Glen Stewart Drive. And whereas the Island Montessori Academy is expanding to become an early years center, and the addition is to accommodate the existing before and after school program as well as the existing pre-K children program. And whereas the proposed development is located within the town center mixed use zone TCMU and therefore must be built in accordance with the design standards for the core area of the town. Be it resolved that council grant approval to an application received from Island Montessori Academy to construct a 5,300 square foot expansion to their existing institutional building on parcel 1007988 located at 41 Glen Stewart Drive, subject to the following conditions. 1. Conformance with the proposed conceptual plans prepared by 9 Yard Studios, file number 21070. 2. A detailed servicing plan must be submitted for approval to the Stratford Utility Corporation. 3. A detailed landscaping plan must be submitted by a qualified expert outlining the details and quantities of the material to be used. 4. All other relevant provisions of the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development Bylaw number 45 are met. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on May 30th, 2022. So moved.
Do you have a seconder? Second. Thank you. Okay, any discussion?
Just a comment that it's obvious these people are being proactive. They realize what is coming to Stratford and the need for this. So the question has to be asked, is our schools going to be big enough down there? Because the population growth is unbelievable here. But I congratulate Montessori for being out in front of this and putting additional spaces in.
Any other comments or questions? If not...
I have a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I'm just wondering, whether the planning chair or director. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, my mic was not on. If the planning director perhaps might have an answer, do you feel that this does follow our design standards for the core area? And I'm just wondering, was there a lot of discussion at the planning committee on this, and perhaps Are you happy with what's in front of us today?
I think there was a fairly significant amount of discussion on this at the planning board. I think the reasoning behind why they're proposing that the new addition will have a flat roof versus the existing building having a gabled roof was talked about quite extensively. It has to do with the timing of construction and the ability for them to get this new addition built in time for September when the building is to be occupied. We didn't have the renderings, which are currently on the screen now, when we sent the planning board package out originally, but when the meeting actually started, they arrived. So planning board members did get to see them before they actually had discussion or made any recommendation on this. I think the renderings certainly helped visualize the building much better than the original two-dimensional line drawings did. So there was discussion, a significant discussion about the roof. You'll see the details on the plan here. They're actually showing the possibility of additional solar panels to be on the actual flat roof itself, which they said, that certainly makes good sense. But a lot of the issue around the flat roof versus the pitched roof, it's all about timing of being able to get timing and cost for the roof system. So it wouldn't be something that I would say if you're building the building from new, that you would typically have two different roof designs like this on it. But being that the timing that they're under and the budget restraints that they're trying to work within, I think planning board felt that it was acceptable at the end of the day. It is just a guideline on the roof line. It's not an actual standard. So we envision that our regulations will become more standards in the future than they are guidelines. They were satisfied with it, but ideally it would have been nice to have the roof lines matching.
Okay, and is it a modular building, or are they going to build from scratch?
The way it was presented to us originally is that it was to be a modular building. There is some information, which I don't have confirmed yet, that they may not be able to meet the time constraints, and it may end up being actually built on site. But I don't have any additional information to confirm that at this time.
Yeah, and are they going to leave it like the two different color schemes, or?
We talked about that, the committee talked about that in fairly great detail, and I talked about it with the designer, the actual architect. The architect felt that by doing something contrasting, they were actually going to complement the design better than trying to make it all the same color. But the final design is not prepared yet. This is a conceptual design at this point in time. You'll see matching colors on the little foyer that's over the front door that matches the existing building. So, I mean, all the exterior cladding materials were to be added on site. So it's something that can be changed, but I think the designers felt that making it contrasting was actually a better design than making it match.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes, so what is they're pressed for time? Can you explain that a little further? Are they hoping to get up and running by September?
By September is
because of the
my
children?
understanding. That's my understanding.
Is there, I understand, is there like a growing list of people waiting for this type of childcare facility?
My understanding is if they don't get the addition, the existing before and after school program and the existing pre-K program will no longer be available at this location. So there's a number of families that would be without those services because they're changing to to the provincially funded model, which is it's in the resolution. I don't know the actual terminology for it. They're expanding to become an early years center, which is going to be a funded center, which the provincial and federal dollars will reduce the annual fees for parents for daily rates. So it's to put them in line with other early years centers that will be offering this same service. But if they don't expand, their their private services for the before and after school program as well as the pre-kindergarten were going to not be available in Stratford any longer.
Okay, so where is it taking place now? Like who's looking after these children now, sort of
It's
thing?
it's in the existing building now.
Okay, so they've outgrown it, sort of thing.
Well, this new program is something
Yeah.
that's, they're not offering on the site currently, so
Okay.
they're going to use the existing building for the new, and the expansion is going to be used to accommodate what's going to be moved out of the existing building.
They've got a great location there, for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any
Thank
other
you.
comments or questions? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? Motion carried. Please proceed with your next resolution. I'm going to ask the deputy chair just to take over the chair for a second, if that's okay.
Town of Stratford Resolution Number PH 024-2022-SD 019-21 Chen Sun 28 lot subdivision, Mason Road. Whereas an application has been received from Chen Sun to subdivide parcel number 190066, approximately 8.74 acres, into 28 lots located off Mason Road within the low-density residential zone R1. And whereas within the low-density residential zone R1, a developer is permitted to have up to 20% of the units within the block to be duplex or semi-detached as a conditional use, with the remaining to be single dwellings. The total area of the proposed subdivision is approximately 8.74 acres, and developer is proposing 22 single dwelling lots and 6 two-unit semi-detached lots. And whereas with the proposed subdivision being a conditional use in the low-density residential zone R1, letters were sent out to all adjacent property owners on March 14th, 2022, and 3 responses were received back from adjacent property owners. And whereas in accordance with the zoning and development bylaw number 45, section 4.9.2, when a dedication of land is not deemed to be appropriate or the exercising of the full 10% conveyance is not appropriate, council shall impose a park dedication fee of up to 10% of the value of the land being subdivided, which sum shall be specifically designated for the purchase, development, and maintenance of public parklands in the town. And whereas, in consultation with the PEI Taxation Department, the assessed value of all lots within the subdivision have been calculated at $1,962,228, with a 50% discount applied to the developer of the subdivision, leaving an overall assessed value at $981,614. Based on this, the developer is now proposing a parkland dedication fee of $98,161, which represents 10% of the overall projected assessed value of the lots after final approval has been obtained. Be it resolved that preliminary approval be granted to an application from Chen Sun to subdivide parcel number 190066, 8.74 acres in total area, into 28 lots located off Mason Road within the low-density residential zone R1, subject to the following conditions: conformance with the preliminary subdivision plan prepared by Mantha Land Surveys, Inc., drawing M-21-193, final number 2018-W-10, dated January 31st, 2022, revision 3, dated May 31st, 2022, that the proposed parkland shall be taken as a parkland dedication fee of $98,161, which represents 10% of the overall projected assessed value of the lots after final approval has been obtained. This includes the 847 square meter area designated for stormwater management. That a stormwater, number 3, that a stormwater management plan be designed by a licensed engineer using low-impact development guidelines approved by both DOTI and the town of Stratford. that the concept, number 4, that the concept design must meet all the Department of Environment requirements, and a plan must be prepared showing how erosion and sedimentation will be controlled and contained during construction. 5, that the proposed public roads shall be designed in accordance with the provincial road standards of the PEI Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, and that a subdivision road agreement shall be executed. Number 6, that the sewer and water systems shall be designed in accordance with the Stratford Utility Corporation servicing standards, and that a utility agreement shall be executed along with the payment of all applicable capital contribution fees required by the utility corporation. That the developer enters into an agreement with Canada Post and meets Canada Post's requirement for establishing community mailboxes in a new subdivision. 8, that all other relative provisions of the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, are met. 9, that preliminary approval shall be valid for a period of 3 years. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on May 30th, 2022, and a subsequent email poll on June 1st, 2022. So moved.
Okay, discussion. Anything we should know about this proposal?
I thought it was great work done by all parties to get this done there with the planning committee, Kevin, your group, and then Jill and Gary, with the residents on Bunbury Road, and everything came together, and then also the town of Stratford benefit on that side too, so it was great work all around the table there. I know it was a hard decision, but I say it's at the end of the day, it's good. It's good results. So, anyways, that's all my comment.
In regards to the $98,161, what would that money be used for? Could we use it for public art or benches, or it has to go to a specific thing then, does it?
Has to be used for recreational purposes, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so.
So would recreational purposes include art, since it falls under the Recreation Committee?
I can get you the clause for the bylaw here, just give me 1 second.
Probably could include benches, I think, yeah.
Be great. That'd be a
Around the
nice
pond
piece.
in Clearview.
It does talk specifically about how it's to be used. If it's to be, you're putting me on the spot here, folks. I'll get it, and
Yeah, maybe we could get that information afterwards. It is for general recreation use, but I guess the principle of not having the park and taking the money in lieu for other purposes towards recreation, and whether or not that includes arts and culture will be provided, that information will be
Sure.
provided later, but the
Exactly.
principle is the same. It's going to be used for a purpose other than having a park.
Right.
So I guess that's the issue before us is,
Yep.
are you comfortable with that?
I suppose trails could be lumped in with that, or trail
Oh, yeah,
systems?
that's recreation.
So it does state in the bylaw, section 49.2, at the end of the paragraph, which sum shall be specifically designated for the purchase, development, or maintenance of public parks in the town.
So it doesn't include arts and culture?
No, not the way it's worded.
Not the
Yeah.
way it's worded. Okay.
I was actually trying to find that in the bylaw myself, and I couldn't find it, so that's great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm noticing a couple, if I have another question,
Yeah, go ahead.
that a couple of the residents complained about possible drainage issues. Has that been addressed, Kevin?
Yeah, we don't feel there be any concerns. The drainage concerns were if the park was developed in the area of this large lot here, and the walkway that was proposed at one time to go to the Bunbury Road, they were concerned that it was going to be drainage actually go down through that area. But with this road, the way it's being designed, and the back of all these lots, you'll see the blue area here, which is adjacent to the Mason Road. This is the lowest point on the property. That's going to pick up, 90, 95–96% of the drainage throughout the whole property, and it's gonna direct it to this stormwater retention pond. So even the back of these lots are gonna have a swale on them. It's gonna direct the water to this stormwater retention pond. So any water that's currently going down through this area will mostly be redirected to that stormwater retention pond. So shouldn't be any concern with drainage of any backyards along Bunbury Road.
Okay, so is there going to be, this lot here, is that a single-family home?
It's proposed to be a single dwelling lot, yes. Yep.
So, and you're convinced that that will also drain properly?
Yep, I don't see, the backyard will obviously drain where it
Yeah.
currently is now.
Yeah.
But anything else that's added from the existing field will not drain in that same area. So anytime you're looking at stormwater management from the development of a lot, if you can bring 50% of the newly created water to the street and allow 50% to go to the rear yard, it's generally not creating any more stormwater than what was there previously. So, yeah, I don't feel there's any concern from a
Thanks.
stormwater perspective. Some of those comments that are attached are based on the previous renditions of this plan as well, if you check the dates on them.
Okay.
It was they were more concerned about the actual walkway going out to the Bunbury Road and how that would potentially affect their properties and whatnot. So that's when we started to explore the option of parkland dedication fee in lieu of parkland.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there are no more questions or
Steve,
comments?
where
Oh,
should-
sorry, go ahead.
Just
No.
go to a public meeting? This goes, no.
This is approval of the subdivision. This is a conditional use.
Okay. Doesn't go,
Which
Kevin?
is
No, it
decided by
Okay.
council. There's no need for a public, there's no requirement for a public.
Okay.
There is no public meeting, but we did send letters out. We're
Right.
required to send letters out to the public that border the property, and we did receive comments back, and the 3 written comments are attached in the file. But they were all based on the original proposal where the parkland was being proposed. Now that it's proposed to be an actual dwelling unit, I think if you were reading the things, it makes most of the concerns go away.
The right-of-way issue, that's been resolved here?
It's proposed that that former right-of-way will be deeded to the neighbor, which there was an encroachment on, and that's what the owner of the property is proposing to do.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, we'll proceed with the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried.
And one more.
Keep building.
This is a tough gig, this planning gig. I don't know if I got what it takes. The Town of Stratford Resolution Number PH 025-2022-SD013-22 Foxwoods Subdivision Revised Development Scheme. Whereas in May of 2017, Z&C Flourish International received preliminary approval to subdivide parcel number 398522 into 154 lots, including 129 single-dwelling lots and 25 semi-detached lots for a total of 179 units, to be approved as a sustainable subdivision. And whereas early in 2019, the developer began the process to revise the original development scheme, changing the number of units to 110 single-dwelling lots and 47 semi-detached lots, for a total of 204 units. On August 29th, 2019, an open house was held to present the proposed revisions to the development scheme. And whereas the original sustainable subdivision scoring table has also been updated and is included for additional information. Be it resolved that council grant preliminary subdivision approval to an application received from Z&C Flourish International, Inc. to revise the Foxwoods subdivision development scheme on parcel number 398552, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, conformance with the development scheme showing lots 1 to 157 prepared by CBCL Limited, drawing number 01, CBCL file number 1922623, issued for review dated May 10th, 2022, including the lot requirements for this development. 2, that the proposed subdivision meets all the requirements of relevant Town of Stratford bylaws and policies, except for the lot standards which are being approved as part of the development scheme. 3, that a stormwater management plan be designed by a licensed engineer using low-impact development guidelines approved by both DOTI and the Town of Stratford. That the proposed parkland, number 4, that the proposed parkland areas as shown on the development scheme be deeded to the Town of Stratford as parkland dedication. Number 5, that the concept design must meet all Department of Environment requirements, and a plan must be prepared showing how erosion and sedimentation will be controlled and contained during construction. Number 6, that proposed public roads shall be designed in accordance with the provincial road standards of the PEI Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, that a subdivision road agreement shall be executed. Number 7, that the sewer and water system shall be designed in accordance with the Stratford Utility Corporation servicing standards, and that a utility agreement shall be executed along with the payment of all applicable capital contribution fees required by the utility corporation. 8, that the developer makes an agreement with Canada Post and meets Canada Post's requirements for establishing community mailboxes in new subdivisions. Number 9, that all other relative provisions of the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45 are met. 10, the preliminary approval shall be valid for a period of 3 years. This resolution bears the recommendation of Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on May 30th, 2022. So moved.
Thank you. Discussion.
You want me to start? Okay. I think sorry, this is the latest version of the development scheme. That was, it's a slight revision to what was presented back in 2019, particularly in the treat areas here. There was concerns from our environmental sustainability coordinator about the addition of lots in the treat area, and which was going to potentially lose good forested area. So they've made some alterations to move lots around and move those additional lots out into the open field. They've also moved some of the lots around to put like uses. They had duplexes in this corner, and they put like uses of singles backing on the existing singles. They opened it up to protect the existing trail systems to ensure that those fall within green space and not fall within a private lot, so that the existing trails within the wooded areas will be protected for people to use in the future. They also opened up some frontage in this park space so you could potentially walk through the wooded area, across the street, in through a park space, over to this proposed Lavender Lane, which connects to another green space and into Kinloch Park, which is the current active park that is proposed within the area. The stormwater retention ponds, the method of dealing with stormwater has taken a considerable amount of time because this property drains across the existing Fox Meadow Golf Course. So there's been a lot of discussion between the developer of this subdivision, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, and the owners of the Fox Meadow Golf Course. So they've come up with a proposed plan to actually reduce the size of the stormwater ponds and allow the water to flow across the existing Fox Meadow Golf Course quicker, to ensure that the golf course will be usable quicker than the 24-hour period of time which was designed originally to drain. It's going to drain in a faster period of time now, but also ensuring that there will be no erosion or sedimentation issues onto the golf course. But because it's a golf course, it's a little different situation, so it allowed them to vary the traditional method of dealing with stormwater that we were doing. So by reducing the size of the stormwater pond, it also prevented the pond from, it originally went into this treat area because it was the low area. So now the existing treat area is staying intact. So no trees are being lost due to stormwater management. There is a presentation here that, and I'll just maybe go to the last slide, which kind of summarizes. There is a picture of the original proposal in here and shows basically what was being changed and why. There's the new development scheme proposal there. So this summary talks, just the original subdivision was originally 131 single-family lots. The proposed subdivision is 110 single-family lots, so it's a reduction of 21 single dwelling units. The number of semi-detached lots increases from originally of 23 lots to 47, an increase of 24 units. The total number of lots in the original subdivision was 154. This proposed subdivision is 157. If you do recall, when we dealt with the Windsor Circle area last year, there was one additional lot in Windsor Circle, which is one of these additional lots that was counted. So there's only 2 additional lots in the middle phase, but this is the overall numbers. So the total number of units in the original development was 177, and the proposed development is 204. It's an increase of 25 units in total. The green space in the original development was 30.9%, and the proposed development is 30.5%, so it's a decrease of 0.4% in overall green space. There is also a document that's attached, which is the Sustainable Subdivision Overlay Zone. It talks about the scoring table. So as you go through the document, anything that was adjusted is actually noted why the adjustment was made and what the end result was for score. And when you go to the scoring table at the back, it gives you the applicable points, the maximum number of points, the minimum number that are required, the points that were received in 2017, and the points that were now received in 2020. And at the bottom, you'll see in 2017, they had a maximum number of points of 204. In 2022, they have a maximum number, or they have received 206.5 points. That brings their percentage up to 79.42% from 78.46%, and still falls within the same threshold as a certified sustainable subdivision, so there's no density bonus increases, but it does allow variation to lot sizes. I think the thing of interest to note here is the original sustainable subdivision bylaw, or the original sustainable subdivision proposal, made the lots significantly smaller than the lots at that time. The development bylaw has changed in the fall of 2018 and actually are very much in line with the new lot sizes that are proposed within this subdivision. So they are proposing to develop a subdivision which is essentially similar to subdivisions that were just given approval within the last couple of years. So it's certainly more in line with what it was than it was when it was proposed originally. So just a point of interest to note.
Thanks, Kevin. Any comments or questions?
I have a question. So I'm noticing, 25 additional units then with this new request?
That's correct.
I love this subdivision. I think they're doing a great job there. But that does increase vehicle traffic probably by at least 50 vehicles. Has that been kind of taken into consideration?
It has been in the original design. There was an updated traffic statement from the which was reviewed by the Department of Transportation, and they didn't see any concern with the site visibility or turning movements or anything at the intersection. Didn't seem any concern to them.
With this addition?
With the additional number of units, correct.
Thank
Yeah.
The existing buildings
Yes.
that are there, there's no changes to the back of their houses. Like, I know there was a little concern there at the last meeting. These changes are sort of like on the golf course side?
No, they're from, if you can see, maybe I'll use the pointer here. They're from, that's not working. Is it? Can't see it working. Okay. So in the area of this green space, there's a hedgerow at the backyard of the lots from phase 1. So this heavy black line that comes down through here is the distinction between phase 1 and the center phase. So there's no, you're not seeing the backyards of the other ones, because this subdivision was designed particularly to try and have the majority of the homes backing up against green space, so they're not directly backing up against other neighbors. So that tree buffer was saved by putting the green space in that location. So I don't think there's going to be any change for rear yards there. The rear yards of all these existing homes on this side, they actually back onto the former shale pit, so there's no homes backing up against them. This area down here, there's really no change, with the exception of the replacement of duplex lots in this area with the replacement of singles. They moved the duplexes out to back onto the green spaces. So there shouldn't be any change from the original drawing. A lot of the change is in the center portion of this drawing, and you can see that the majority of these homes are all designed to back onto a green space as well, to try and ensure that people get a little bit more buffer of backyard that is publicly owned rather than privately owned.
Okay, good.
Any other comments or questions?
One other
Okay,
question.
go ahead.
I'm just noticing on part of the presentation there that they mentioned that they're going to be putting maybe some traffic calming in. Is that on their dime, Kevin?
The development does have street trees proposed along the main street.
Street what?
Street trees.
Oh, okay.
So it's the only subdivision that we have in Stratford that they are
Yes, sir.
actually building the active transportation lane, the active transportation or paved sidewalk, I guess, for lack of a better term. So it's in the original phase of the subdivision. It's going to cross the street in this location, but it's going to continue down through Flourish Heights all the way down to this intersection, and then it's going to come to the access to the active park, the existing Kinloch Park, right in this location. I apologize, it is quite small to see, but that is the active transportation component there. And then there will be street trees that go along with that. So the further you can put devices out into the actual, closer to the traffic lane, it actually calms the traffic, because it gives the vision that you're going through a narrower street, and it calms the actual traffic. They've done traffic control things in the original phase 1 of the subdivision too, where they pulled the curbs in. If you drive through the subdivision, when you come to the intersections, you'll notice the curbs are pulled in, which causes the traffic to also calm. So yes, anything that's proposed to happen from traffic calming measures are part of the proposed development.
Okay. And so they're moving from 177 units to 204.
That's correct.
You don't feel that's a public meeting would be a requirement there, or?
If they were to develop this as a conventional subdivision today, I haven't seen layout for a conventional subdivision, but they would probably receive as many, maybe more units. So no,
Okay.
I don't feel, they've gone through a very public process with this document. It's an open house process,
Okay.
which they've actually been scored on. Unfortunately, it's been a number of years since they've got the actual engineering drawings done that were required to ensure that the stormwater is going to work, and the sewer and the water are going to work. But no, we don't feel that there's another public meeting process required for this.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, thank you for your report on that. That's your last resolution, Councillor McDougall. Putting you to work tonight.
Good job, Councillor McDougall. Looking forward to working with you.
Okay, we'll now move to infrastructure. I'll ask the Deputy Mayor Clow to give his report, but before I do, I just want to take this opportunity to congratulate Deputy Mayor Clow and his wife Eileen on their anniversary. I believe it's more than 50 years, 50...
Yes, it's hard to believe.
53?
I don't give numbers out.
It's
Yes.
it's a great milestone anyway. Congratulations,
Yes.
and to your wife too.
Thank you.
We heard it all weekend, Regina.
No one bought me a drink. Anyway, Your Worship, thanks very much, and I'd just like to take a minute, like some of the other councillors, and just give you a little bit of an overview of the weekend, just a very short overview. Last weekend, there were 1,200 municipal leaders from coast to coast. We came together in Regina, Saskatchewan, and virtually from other communities throughout Canada for the 2022 Federation of Canadian Municipality Annual Conference and Trade Show. We attended workshops, listened to panel discussions, visited the trade show, and connected with colleagues and friends, as I think you've heard earlier from the councils. It was a great conference. We met and connected with a lot of mayors and councillors throughout Canada. It was the largest gathering of municipal families in 2 years, and all who attended shared a common goal to shape Canada's recovery together. And that was the theme of the weekend, to shape Canada's recovery together, getting back together and meeting in person. Throughout the 4-day event, delegates heard from national party leaders, the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Infrastructure and Community Dominic LeBlanc, who Derek knows very well, spent some time discussing things with him, and Community and Conservative Shadow Minister for Infrastructure and Community Andrew Scheer, and NDP leader Jasmeet Singh. The FCM annual general meeting was held on Sunday, and members passed resolutions calling for national action on 4 issues: addressing period poverty in Canada, implementing the calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Committee relating to missing children and unmarked graves, renewing and modernizing the Canada Community Building Fund, and streamlining support for those fleeing the conflict in Ukraine. And of course, as you heard earlier, we were all very proud of Councillor McDonald being elected to the board. And that means a lot for Stratford. And talking to the people presently on the board, like President Bruce McDougall, is really looking forward to working with Councillor McDonald. So that's just a brief overview of what was a very good conference. We met a lot of great people at the expo and sat with a lot of different mayors and councillors throughout Canada that are dealing with basically the same issues everybody else is. So we shared some ideas and thoughts, and we got contacts now to give a call, and they're willing to talk to us soon or whatever, if there's something there we'd like to talk about.
Well,
So it was a
very
very
much.
good conference.
Thanks for the update, and thanks for attending.
Thank you.
Everyone that was able to go. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And the infrastructure report, first is the wastewater treatment plant. I went by there this morning and I saw grass growing, so I thought the soil was spread, but after talking with Jeannie, it's not. They're still waiting for the soil to dry up, and they will be spreading that in the next couple of weeks, but it's interesting to see that grass is growing there now, and it looked actually good this morning when I was driving by. The Kepik Road multi-use trail, the contractor has returned to the site to complete the landscaping and repairs, and is scheduled to have the project finished by the end of the month. And of course, if you drove by, you saw the new outlook there, which is a great addition to that trail, where they can stop and sit down and take a break and look at the beautiful view. Pondside watershed restoration, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure have agreed to coordinate the replacement of the culvert crossing Kepik Road at Kelly's Pond with the project work we are doing, as our consultant has identified the culvert needing replacement. DOTI have scheduled this in their budget for next year. Therefore, the work in Kelly's Pond will be pushed to 2023, so as to only need to drain the pond once. We will proceed with enhancing the wetlands, sediment traps, and Moore's Pond at the upper end of the watershed this construction season. So the province sees where that culvert has to be replaced, and I guess it's not in their budget this year, but it will be next year. But they will be carrying on with the draining of the ponds up in Moore's Pond in that area. So that will be completed in that end in Pondside next year. Addition of hydrants in core area. A tender has been posted on the installation of 10 hydrants to be added to the water system along McKinnon Drive and Glen Stewart Drive. This will provide proper hydrant spacing as recommended by the Fire Underwriters Survey Organization. So that's up where the new roundabout's going, in that area there. Kepic Road sidewalk replacement, a section of older narrow sidewalks between Pondside Park and Woodland Drive, approximately 250 meters, will be replaced this year. A tender is being prepared and will be issued in the next few weeks. And that's something we have to consider, that we do have sidewalks that have been around for 20 years or so that requires replacement. And so we will be doing that every year, doing replacement where needed throughout the town. Corey's Pump Station upgrades, we're working with the consultant to finalize the design details, and we'll be issuing a tender in the next couple of weeks. The work will involve replacing the pumps in the station with larger capacity pumps, adding a generator for backup power supply, and moving all electrical components into the secure enclosure. The reservoir, the new water reservoir, the consultant has confirmed the water model and final report, and the duty to consult process has now been started, and the RFP for design services of the reservoir is being prepared. Community campus site servicing. The consultant continues to work on the design of the site servicing with anticipation to tender the work in July. We continue to meet with the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure to coordinate servicing for the new high school. Staff have been busy with grass cutting, sports field maintenance. A new metal roof has been installed on the soccer complex, which is great. And there's a possibility that building could be moved, and it can be moved with the steel roof on it, so that was a concern. Hiring process for summer staff, tender preparation for capital equipment and vehicle purchase, bylaw complaints, sewer lift station cleaning, water system sampling, water and sewer inspections and water turn-ons. And during the month of May, there were no major sewer water emergencies. A leak in the 2-inch water main on Elizabeth Crescent was discovered and repaired, and a leak in the 6-inch sewer 4 main on Mason Road was discovered and repaired. Repair was completed on the sewer lateral at 47 Duck Landing. A blockage has occurred in early March and was resolved at that time, but could not be excavated for a full repair due to the winter conditions. So that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Any questions, myself or Jeannie, or we'll be able to answer.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Deputy Mayor, I understand that Jeannie Gallant got us some money today for the sewer lift station.
Yes, perhaps Jeannie would like to explain that. How much did we get, Jeannie? A whole bunch?
You are putting me on the spot, because that email came in this afternoon when I was in a meeting right before this meeting and didn't really get through all that yet. We're very happy to see that we got funding for our Bunbury sewage station upgrades that we had applied for under the Municipal Strategic Component Fund, under the gas tax or the New Deal. It's 75% of our funding, which is great. We had budgeted in our capital budget for 50%, so we're ahead of that. I'll be honest, I can't recall what the amounts. I believe it was a $350,000 project, so
298.
288 was approved, yeah. Thanks, everybody.
35 cents.
Yeah, so very happy to get that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think thanks are also due to yourself, obviously. You did all the work on it and everything, but also we have had discussions on this issue, the Chief Administrative Officer, myself, with MP Lawrence McCauley, and with MLA James Alward, and they both, I believe probably James was the final, was able to get it through, so thanks to them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And thanks to you, Jeremy, for the work you did on it.
Jeannie did all the hard work.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeannie.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
If no more questions, thanks for your report, and I'll keep you going there, Deputy Mayor, if you would like to take on Committee of the Whole as well. I believe there's some resolutions there.
Okay, CW008-2022 Housing Supply Challenge. Whereas the town of Stratford has demonstrated a commitment to build the best community possible, and whereas the town of Stratford's vision includes the following: Our vision is to become a sustainable community where the social needs of residents are taken care of. And the mission reads, our mission is to continuously strive to find out what current and future residents and stakeholders need and want, and then deliver it. And whereas the town of Stratford was successful in Stage 1 of Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, Housing Supply Challenge, and is now preparing to submit their application to continue into the next stage, which will see the proposal, action, and development. Be it resolved that the town of Stratford Council express their support and commit future staff time and resources to the development of this project should the town be successful in the next phase. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning, Development, and Heritage Committee based on a meeting held on May 2nd, 2022. So moved.
Do you have a seconder? I'll second. Thank you. Okay, discussion.
In your last paragraph, express the support and commitment of future staff time and resources. Do we have that luxury for future staff work on this? I know they're working now pretty good, but
I would like to think so, but perhaps Kevin can comment on that.
okay, it says in the last paragraph.
Or perhaps Jeremy.
There is going to be some staff commitment in the future, but there's also going to be funding available for perhaps hiring additional staff to support this. So certainly there is going to be some you know, and we're working through that now with our consultants and such to look at what staff resources are going to be needed. But there is some substantial funding that could come with this. So we'll also be looking at hiring additional staff in that case. So we are cognitive of that, but it is a, you know, an important opportunity, and we want to continue to try to see if we can get that funding.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay.
Next resolution, Your Worship, is CW009-2022, approval of, I guess we can take potential out of there, and we'll put approval of the election of Councillor Gail MacDonald to the Board of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Whereas the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, represent the interests of members' municipalities on policies and program matters that fall within federal jurisdiction. And whereas the FCM's Board of Directors is comprised of elected municipal officials from all regions and size of communities to form a broad base of support and provide FCM with the united voice required to carry the municipal message to the federal government. And whereas FCM Hybrid Annual Conference and Trade Show will be held on June 2nd to 5th, 2022, during which time the annual general meeting will be held, followed by the election of FCM Board of Directors. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Stratford, Prince Edward Island, endorse Councillor Gail MacDonald to stand for the election on FCM Board of Directors for the period starting June 2022 and ending June 2023, to be confirmed at the regular monthly meeting of Council on June 8th, 2022. Be it resolved that Council assume all costs associated with Councillor MacDonald's attending FCM Board of Directors meeting. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole based on the meeting held on May 25th, 2022. So moved.
Do I have a seconder?
Second here.
Okay, any discussion?
I understand, Councillor MacDonald, you're being lobbied already for a position within the FCM through the criteria you'll be
Yes.
taking?
Yes, I believe all members are asked to sit on 2 subcommittees over the next year, so there'll probably be a lot of Zoom calls.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Motion carried.
Dale?
Okay, you
Okay.
got one more resolution.
One more, CW010-2022, election bylaw number 43A, amendment dash first reading.
Just before you proceed, there's no need to read the, oh yeah, no, go ahead, sorry. I
Okay.
interrupted you.
Whereas the chief electrical officer has gone through an exercise with all the municipalities who they work with to review their election bylaws. And whereas after their review, there are some changes identified as outlined in the attached document. Be it resolved that the attached election bylaw number 43A, be hereby read and approved a first time. The resolution bears the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole based on a meeting held on May 25th, 2022. So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move to sustainability, and our current chair of sustainability is not able to attend tonight, so I'll ask the deputy chair or vice chair, I believe that's Derek, yes. Councillor Derek Smith to, there's no report, but to give, there's two resolutions. If you would proceed with those resolutions, Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Town of Stratford Resolution, SC 002-2022, Switch Program Bylaw Amendment, second reading. The name from Darren McDougall will be changed to myself. Whereas the Switch program currently has a requirement to register a lien on each property participating in the program, and whereas after careful review of the Section 162, subsection 4 of the Municipal Government Act, MGA, where it states, all unpaid utility charges and current interest or other expenses or costs incurred by a municipality in relation to a property or levied on a property constitute a lien on the real property in respect to which the service was provided. The exception was made, or the change, or the charge was levied that the priority on every claim, privilege, or incumbent of every person except the Crown against the property until payment is made and is full and is made. And whereas by removing the requirement to register the lien on the property, this provides less of a barrier for residents to participate in the program, be it resolved that the attached bylaw number 52A, a bylaw amended to switch the program, bylaw number 52, be hereby read and approved a second time. This resolution is per the recommendations of Sustainability Committee as discussed at a meeting held on the 2nd of March 2022, and the committee as a whole as discussed on the meeting held on March 23, 2022. So moved.
I'll second it. Thank you. And this is second reading, so if this passes, then the next step will be adoption. So are there any questions or comments before we go to the vote? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, and
Second resolution. This one is shorter. The Town of Stratford Resolution, SC 003-2022, Switch Program Bylaw Amendment, number 52A, adoption. I'll be moving this motion. Whereas the council read and approved the Switch Program Bylaw Amendment for the first time on the 13th of April 2022, and whereas the council read and approved the Switch Program Bylaw Amendment on the May 11th, 2022, be it resolved that the attached bylaw number 52A, a bylaw to amend the Switch Program bylaw, be hereby adopted, and that the mayor and the chief administration officer be authorized to effect their signatures and a corporate seal of the town thereto, and to formally declare the say bylaw passed.
so moved.
So moved.
Okay, do you have a seconder? I'll second it. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next report is, thank you for doing that, Councillor Smith. Next report is accountability and engagement. I chair that committee, and the minutes of the regular monthly meeting are in your package. There was a discussion of the annual survey findings, and that was provided an internal briefing to staff and council. I guess it was over a week ago, eh? It was about a week and a half ago. And, excuse me, and there will be a press release, or a media release with that information going out shortly, but that was provided internally, and it will be provided externally. Yeah, that's, the minutes are before you. We talked a bit about the provincial presentation and about some of the things that we should be raising with the province, and some engagement challenges that the town has with regard to newcomers and young people. So those minutes are in your package. Any comments or questions on the minutes? Okay, we'll move to human resources. Anything there, Deputy Mayor Clow?
The Stratford senior.
The human resources.
Not at this time, but we will be having a meeting at the end of the month.
Okay.
With the HR committee.
And the only thing that I would raise with regard to that is there are plans. One of our top priorities is the organizational review.
Yeah.
And I guess that'll be moving forward sometime over the summer. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Okay.
Okay. Any inquiries by members of council about any matter at all, whether or not it's on the agenda? Anything anyone would like to inquire about?
I'm wondering if I could make
Sure.
a statement.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. Yes, I didn't realize my esteemed colleagues were going to report on the FCM conference, as we just got home yesterday. So I'd just like to say a few words,
Sure.
if you don't mind. I have a brief 10-page report here.
Well, maybe you can cut it down to 30 seconds.
I would just like to say that I'm very much enjoyed the annual FCM conference. We're all on the move every morning by 6:45, and most nights we didn't stop till 10 or later. The workshops were great. There was 3 going on at all times over the 3 days, and we wish that we could attend them all, but we can only be in one place at a time. But we do have the ability to listen to any of the workshops that we missed, which I intend to do over the next couple of weeks. The trade show was impressive, with over 150 booths to visit, and the chance to network with peers across the country is my favorite part of the conference. It was also great to listen to the top federal leaders who could not say enough about the relationship that they have with the FCM president and board, who represent over 92% of Canadians. I'm proud to be able to represent PEI along with FPEIM President Bruce McDougall as a board member of FCM, and I thank Council for their support. Next year, the annual convention will be in Toronto, so I'm looking forward to that already. Thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
And look forward to lots of good news
Information.
on that front.
Right
Thank
on.
you. Okay, any other inquiries by any member of council? If not, we'll go to other committees. Stratford Seniors Complex, Deputy Mayor Clow.
Yes, Your Worship, there, the spring maintenance is being completed at the complex. Gardening quotes were awarded to Cutting Edge. Final statements have been received. There was a fire alarm at complex on May 29th, but there was no fire, it was just smoke in the unit from cooking. Things are running very smoothly at the complex. Jerry and Kim met to review capital items on replacement plan to get work scheduled for this year. And we will be working on a tender to hire a firm to help with the replacement plan as required by CMHC. And Don Chandler has retired as Executive Director for St. John House, and his replacement is Alan Hughes. And I believe that might be...
That's Robert's brother.
Robert's brother, yeah.
Cousin of Darren McDougall.
So that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on the Stratford Seniors Complex report? If not, we'll look, no appointments to committees, no proclamations. Any other business anyone would like to bring to the table at this point?
Your Worship, 19B, Community Campus.
Oh, I'm sorry, I always skip over that. Sorry about that. We don't, our chair of that committee is not with us tonight, so would you would you be in a position, anyone be in a position to provide that information?
Perhaps Jeannie do you have something, Jeannie, or? Perhaps I'm putting you on the spot.
In July, something starting in July?
That's okay. Councillor Burge usually gives an update from the school branch side of things with the school. They're on schedule, they're going through their design process. They're still on track for having the building or the school ready for occupation in September of 2025. Jeremy and I are meeting regularly with them to coordinate our site work with their project and make sure that we're both on the same page with everything. As we reported earlier, the design work for our site servicing is underway, and we're hoping to get that tendered in July and construction happening in August. Don't believe there's any updates on our Island Gymnastics Academy building being constructed there as of today. We haven't really been hearing on them getting their funding for that, so that's about all I can update on. Are there any questions on that?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I guess the only other bit of information is that we will be, I believe, our Director of Recreation, Jeremy Pierce, is organizing a meeting of getting together with the heads of all the major sports organizations in Stratford to look at what the needs are, and we'll move forward based on what the needs are to integrate that into a plan for a recreational complex. So, nothing further anybody would like to inquire about on that front? Okay, thanks, Jeannie. Thank you very much. Okay, sorry for skipping over that, Councillor Smith. I just, our chair is not here tonight, so, yeah. Any other business anyone would like to bring to the table? If not, I'll call for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you. We're now adjourned. Thanks.